Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have a ton of updates to share about Trump's Capitol insurrectionists and terrorists. So it's time for a mega motherload episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So as you'll notice, no eye patch. My eye patch is gone. I'm feeling a lot better. My eye looks a lot better. It's still a little swollen, still a little puffy in my cheek area. But anyway, I'm going to break this up into segments because I literally have so many updates to share with you guys that I don't want you to have to sit through hours of updates at one time or try to have to come back and figure out where you were. But I'm recording them all together because I also didn't want you to have to sit through the opening dozens of times. So some may be a bit dated, some may be brand new, but I wanted to make sure you guys heard about all of them. First up is 30-year-old Glen Mitchell Simon of Georgia. If you watch the show on YouTube, that name should be familiar because I just recently shared his video short. Simon goes by the name of Mitch Simon instead of Glen Simon. He had accepted a plea deal, and I wasn't expecting any prison time in his case because he pleaded guilty to that parading in a capital charge that we keep seeing over and over again. So he was due in court this Friday, the 18th, for his sentencing hearing. He was probably going to get a stern talking to, probably a sentence of probation, as we've seen so many times, and then a small fine. Well, that was before video emerged on Twitter showing Simon throwing something at a line of officers who were trying to hold back the mob. Simon was also seen in that video struggling physically with officers standing behind the barricade. Well, the group known as Sedition Hunters quickly identified him. And then 4 days later, the prosecutors halted the plea deal. But here's why I'm pissed off. And these prosecutors are so freaking weak. Based on the new alleged evidence, they could add civil disorder. They could add assault on an officer charges. Instead, they're offering him a new BS plea deal whereby he would plead guilty to just one count of disorderly conduct in a restricted building or grounds. That comes with a maximum sentence of only 1 year maximum in prison. Whether it's the parading in the capital charge or disorderly conduct in a restricted building, the sentences have all been bullshit. They've been getting pretty much the same slaps on the wrist, right? They get Netflix and chill. Here's a chocolate cake I baked for you. Now be on your way, good boy. I mean, that kind of BS. So prosecutors offered Simon this new deal and they say, if he doesn't take it, then we're going to charge him with more serious crimes. Seriously? I mean, the guy would have to be brain dead to not take it, right? But, look at who we're talking about. Anyway, more than likely, though, his attorney is going to advise him to take this deal. And now he's going to be sentenced sometime in March. So the sentencing hearing got pushed back. So I'll let you guys know when I hear more about that. But I think we all know how that's going to play out. Another allegedly violent, giant, spoiled child who's going to get away with assaulting officers. Next up is 47-year-old Jeremy Brown. He lives in Florida. He's a self-described oath keeper, former Green Beret, and a 2020 congressional candidate. Brown was arrested on September 30th. He was charged with a handful of misdemeanors, and it has since been revealed that Brown was caught and arrested in part because of something that the FBI noticed, something of concern in photos that were taken in his home. Apparently, Brown had listed his house for sale after the Capitol attack, and he accidentally left a dry erase board up when the listing photos were taken. So the dry erase board contained a list of all of the illegal explosives that Brown had in his possession, as well as food and different items that he needed to live off the grid. So when the FBI searched his home, they found a short barrel rifle, a sawed-off shotgun, more than 8,000 rounds of ammunition, 2 hand grenades, and $6,000 in cash. And then they also found that dry erase board, which showed all these columns breaking down different items like food, shelter, currency. One section said move, another one said shoot. And this is why Brown has also been charged with possession of unregistered firearms in addition to the charges for the Capitol. And it's why the judge decided that Brown should remain behind bars until his trial or until he agrees to a plea deal, if the feds are even willing to give him one. The next update is about another Florida man, 26-year-old Mason Courson. Courson was charged with assaulting officers, among various other crimes, and due to the fact that he took part in that vicious beating of an officer outside of the Lower West Terrace Tunnel. In fact, Courson admitted to, quote, exchanging blows with officers and to striking an officer with a baton. But Courson told the authorities that he believed his violent actions were justified. Well, it recently came out in court in a hearing that Courson held on to that baton that he used to beat that officer. So that was part of the reason why the judge decided that this was Judge Jared Strauss. He decided that Courson did need to remain behind bars until trial. Strauss's order in the detention hearing said, quote, I find it significant that Courson kept the baton with which he assaulted the officer. Whether he intended to keep it as a trophy or a memento, I cannot determine. However, the fact that Courson kept the weapon over the course of the last year is not emblematic of someone who has remorse or has come to regret his actions after the passions of the moment have subsided. For all of these reasons, I find that Courson's character and history provide significant doubt for whether he would respect and abide by conditions of bond that I could set. Now, here's the ironic part. As Courson was beating those officers and helped to drag one of them down the steps to be attacked by others, he was wearing a thin blue line face covering. But he told the investigators that the officers he attacked were not thin blue line. They were traitors. That was his exact word. They were traitors. So apparently he is the judge and jury on which officers are acting appropriately and which ones are being traitors and acting against their oaths.